This podcast is made possible by you, the supporters of WPLN and WNXP, Nashville Public Radio.
This is the Nash Villager Podcast. It's July 3rd, 2025. Today, you'll need to make a grocery run to pick up whatever it is you're bringing to tomorrow's 4th of July barbecue. And if you're planning on a patriotic dessert, there are a bunch of different options that basically boil down to some kind of artful arrangement of strawberries, blueberries, and whipped cream. Red, white, and blue on a plate. And if that's what you're shopping for, well, you'll need to say thanks to a British gardener. I'm Nina Cardona, and this is your daily digest of what's happening around Middle Tennessee with historical context from Nashville Public Radio, WPLN News. Believe it or not, the classic garden strawberry is younger than our nation. It was first introduced to the world on this day in 1806 at the Royal Horticultural Society. An Englishman named Michael Keene figured out how to cultivate a strawberry with a large, easy-to-harvest fruit that could be grown from seed. Although, to be honest, it didn't taste like much. It would take further hybridization and another 15 years or so to arrive at the sweet, juicy treat we enjoy today. Before Keene, most strawberries were some kind of variation on the tiny ones that grow wild in your yard. Today, of course, the big, juicy variety is big business in Tennessee. There's probably no kind of produce more likely to have a pick-your-own option in this state. Of course, that season has just wrapped up. Tennessee strawberries are at their peak in May. And this year presented some real challenges to strawberry producers. To start off, we had some pretty cold nights in March. That created a risk of frost damage to the plants that were already in the ground. Then came all of the rainy days in April and May. It's no fun going out to pick your own fruit if you're sliding around in the mud or if the sky is dumping rain down on your head while you do it. And according to the State Department of Agriculture, they also saw an outbreak this year of a fungus that can do a lot of damage to strawberry plants. And it's a relatively new problem here. A paper from the Southern Region Small Fruit Consortium says the variety of fungus causing the current problem was first identified in 2018 after it caused a lot of damage at a strawberry farm in Florida. And from there, the fungus spread quickly, particularly after rainstorms. The infection creates big spots on strawberry leaves and causes the fruit itself to rot. Now, various kinds of fungi have always been a danger to produce growing, and flowers for that matter. It's just part of gardening. And the fungus in question doesn't bring any risk for humans. This is a plant-specific problem. But for the most part, fungal outbreaks in strawberry fields have historically been a rather small-scale issue. Catch it on a handful of plants, and you can keep things pretty isolated. That kind of fungus that emerged in 2018, though, spreads fast and wide. Some producers have reported losing entire fields to it before they could get the spread under control. And honestly, this year's weather must have made for a pretty big headache for Tennessee strawberry farmers. Remember all that rain I mentioned? Well, the fungus spreads more easily when leaves are wet, so farmers are advised to limit their activity in the fields to times when plants are dry. And now that strawberry season is pretty much over, the state's farmers will be focusing on trying to eradicate any of that fungus that may have shown up in this year's crop, because it can essentially infect the soil and last into the following year. So if you pass by your favorite pick-your-own strawberry farm and see workers going the extra mile to remove spent plants from the soil, that could be what's going on. Come fall, they could be treating the ground with fungicide, too. But by far, the most important things they'll need to do are sanitize all their equipment and start the next growing season out with plants that have never shared a field with that fungus. In just a few minutes, why some folks in West Tennessee are looking to a Nashville example as they get ready for a big new industrial development. That's coming up after the newscast.
Here's the mantra I think about at WPLN. We connect the dots. It captures a mindset that our journalism is not merely about the latest press release or proclamations by officials. Instead, we can develop expertise, dig deeper, and look to history to understand what's happening now. I'm Tony Gonzalez, news director. When I'm planning coverage and editing stories, the best part is being part of a team that's curious about our community and invested in its future.
Here's the latest from WPLN News. Nashville State Representative Justin Jones wants to ban law enforcement from wearing masks while making arrests in Tennessee. Jones is introducing a proposal in response to ICE activity in his district. There are agents made arrests while wearing plain clothes and masks. U.S. Senator Marsha Blackburn of Tennessee has stressed that ICE agents need to have their identities protected, but Jones has a different argument.
Allowing masked officers to exist actually makes officers more unsafe. Because if I saw a masked man trying to kidnap my sister, I would use every physical force that I had to stop them from taking my sister.
The legislation will not be considered until lawmakers convene in Nashville in the new year. Republican representatives have also introduced legislation to further shield the identity of ICE agents by making it illegal to disclose their names or faces. A Tennessee man who was one of the first to breach the U.S. Capitol in 2021 has been sentenced to life in prison for conspiring to kill federal agents. In November, a judge convicted 36-year-old Edward Kelly of multiple counts after prosecutors outlined how the man created a kill list of FBI agents and of state and local authorities. The Maryville man, a Marine veteran, was arrested based on videos from the Capitol and had his home searched by the FBI. An acquaintance helped investigators by recording phone calls in which Kelly discussed 36 targets and plans for using car bombs and drones to attack the FBI office in Knoxville. Authorities said Kelly also planned attacks at the homes of law enforcement and in public places. Kelly received a pardon from President Donald Trump for his January 6th convictions, but a judge agreed with prosecutors that it didn't apply to his actions in the aftermath. The massive federal spending and tax package, known as the One Big Beautiful Bill, is closer to the finish line. WPLN's health reporter Catherine Sweeney tells us it's hard to gauge exactly how the mega bill would affect Tennesseans. But social service providers have some ballpark numbers on cuts to TennCare and food assistance.
Confused about the One Big Beautiful Bill? Not your fault. It's hard to understand for several reasons. One, the House and Senate haven't agreed on a final draft. It can be hard to make sense of what the bill even is, since Congress packed so much into it. And some politicians are adding to that confusion with partisan spin. Democrats and other opponents say it's taking scissors to the federal safety net, cutting trillions in aid to benefit billionaires. But Republicans say the tax cuts benefit everyone. Some, like Tennessee Senator Bill Hagerty, take it a step further. He says it's not really a cut, just not an increase.
We're talking about a $4+ trillion tax increase that would be the case if it were allowed to not pass.
Critics focus on the program cuts required to offset tax breaks. Here's Gordon Bonnyman, the staff attorney at the Tennessee Justice Center, a social services and advocacy organization.
We just know that Medicaid and SNAP cover very vulnerable populations, lots of families that are struggling already. It's difficult to overstate how catastrophic that would be.
Medicaid, known as TennCare here, covers health care for low-income people. Under this bill, about 250,000 Tennesseans could lose their health insurance. That includes those on TennCare and those that pay for insurance using the marketplace. TennCare cuts could also impact providers. For example, 9 rural hospitals in Tennessee could close because of these cuts, according to some studies. New work requirements threaten the Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program for people who are now exempt, like homeless people, senior citizens, veterans, and teens aging out of foster care. The bill requires states to pitch in on SNAP benefits, which are now fully federally funded. In Tennessee, that could be as much as $400 million a year, taking a huge bite out of the state budget. Catherine Sweeney, WPLN News.
President Donald Trump has nominated 4 people to serve on the board of directors for the Tennessee Valley Authority, which provides power to parts of 7 states, including most of Tennessee. Hannah Saad with member station WKMS has more.
Trump nominated 3 Tennesseans and 1 Alabamian to the group that oversees the nation's largest public utility system. Earlier this year, the president removed 3 Biden appointees from the TVA board. That left the 9-seat committee with just 3 members, putting the utilities board below its requirement for a quorum. Per agency bylaws, TVA needs at least 5 members of the board present at a meeting to do anything beyond continuing operations as usual, such as approving new programs. The Senate has to approve Trump's nominations before they can join the TVA board. I'm Hannah Saad in Murray.
The Tennessee nominees are from each of the 3 grand divisions of the state. Locally, Nashville businessman and longtime car dealer Lee Beeman is the pick. The announcement of nominees comes after Tennessee Governor Bill Lee called for a new TVA board to speed up the development of next-generation nuclear power. Attorneys for the state of Tennessee argued in court this week that a lawsuit challenging the state's abortion ban should be thrown out. They point to an additional measure passed this year that adds an exception. It allows abortions when a pregnancy creates a serious risk of major medical problems. The state argued that changes the law enough to make the legal challenge irrelevant. But the Tennessee Lookout Report's lawyers for the Center for Reproductive Rights told the 3-judge panel that the exemption is vague enough that doctors are still uncertain when an abortion is allowed. Making the wrong call could cost a doctor their license and result in a prison sentence. A small airplane crashed near Gallatin yesterday afternoon, killing the pilot. The Tennessean reports the single-engine plane was headed from Hopkinsville, Kentucky to Cleveland, Tennessee. There were no passengers on board. Federal investigators are looking into what went wrong. You'll find more news anytime at WPLN.org. This spring, Tennessee legislators passed a law banning community benefits agreements, or CBAs. Those are contracts that corporations work out with neighboring residents to address local concerns. The law comes 7 years after Nashville passed the first such agreement, making requests of Nashville Soccer Club as it built its stadium. WPLN's Cynthia Abrams reports, despite the new law, residents in West Tennessee are fighting hard to secure another CBA.
There's no exact blueprint for a CBA. Some things they might include are wage requirements, environmental protections, affordable housing developments. And while Tennessee's new law isn't a blanket ban on all CBAs,
we're ready to vote on House Bill 1096.
It is for companies that have received state economic incentives. And a lot of companies fall into that bucket. In Tennessee, there's Oracle, the Titans, General Motors, FedEx, and more recently, there's Ford, developing a $5 billion mega campus.
My part of rural West Tennessee, where the Ford Motor Company is expanding, that they have been extraordinarily active in engaging with communities to build parks, to expand the Boys and Girls Clubs, to...
That's State Senator Paige Wally at a legislative hearing earlier this year. He represents the region around Ford's new Blue Oval City in West Tennessee. Wally supported the ban on CBAs, saying that Ford is already doing good work in the community. But that opinion is at odds with many residents. A coalition of labor and faith leaders came together to form the group Blue Oval Good Neighbors. They've been urging Ford to commit to a CBA.
I think many times people believe that in small towns, people will just accept chump change or crumbs.
That's Rachel Wilson, a member of Blue Oval Good Neighbors.
They have received billions of dollars for this plant, and they're investing back less than 1% back into the community. And so Ford, to address all that we are concerned about, it will take more dollars.
Wilson says early on she was excited about Ford coming to the area. That was until she saw the impact it would have on her neighbors.
You want to see the area you live in grow, but you don't want to see it grow in a way that the whole community just changes.
The coalition is asking for a CBA that would ensure local hiring, provide replacement land to Black farmers who had to sell, develop affordable housing to offset the increased cost of living, and protect their water sources. Instead of committing to the CBA, Ford has launched its Good Neighbor Plan, a pledged $9 million investment into the community. But Wilson says it's important to have a legally binding deal.
They can easily back out and say, hey, we're going to pull out of Tennessee altogether. But everything, all the impact of them coming will still be here.
With the new law set to take effect July 1st, Blue Oval Good Neighbors is continuing to try to pursue negotiations with Ford. In a statement to WPLN, Ford says it's engaged with residents, community leaders, and government officials about the project and points to its Good Neighbor plan. So it could be a long road ahead. And even if residents were able to get an agreement on the table, the work wouldn't stop there. Take Tennessee's first CBA. It was signed in 2018 as a part of the effort to bring Major League Soccer to Nashville. A community group, Stand Up Nashville, led negotiations. Its executive director is Odessa Kelly.
It was a city effort to get this CBA passed, but it seems like it's standing just on the shoulders of Stand Up Nashville, to enforce this.
The soccer CBA was wide in scope. There were hiring and wage requirements, the development of affordable housing and retail space, community soccer programs, an on-site childcare facility. Kelly has some lingering concerns about the leasing manager for the housing and the vision for the retail space. But she says it is on track. Nashville SC is holding up their end of the deal, which has required the club to navigate some difficulties. Lindsay Paola, the club's chief operating officer, says the club has to approach operations differently.
Most venues in Nashville or stadiums and Nashville arenas don't have the same requirements that we do. So it's not a burden. It's just thinking about things from a different angle.
But at the end of the day, Kelly says without the CBA, Nashville might not have Major League Soccer.
A lot of the elected officials are like, the only way they're going to do the deal is if we get the community benefits agreement so that we can get something out of it, which made sense at the time, right?
Out in West Tennessee, that's not the case. Ford's Blue Oval City is 3 years into construction. It will progress with or without a community benefits agreement. But that doesn't mean residents will stop trying to secure one. Cynthia Abrams, WPLN News.
We do this roundup of Nashville news every workday, so subscribe in your favorite podcasting app to make sure you never miss an episode. And if you like this, you'll probably enjoy the Nash Villager newsletter, too. You'll get perspective from more of my colleagues at Nashville Public Radio and links to the stories we're following. Sign up for those daily emails at WPLN.org/NashVillager. Thanks so much for listening. Let's make this day a good one. And we'll catch back up next week after the 4th of July.